Black people don't like camping. And why would we? Because it's outside, it's hot, you've got bugs and other little critters, and you could even get lost. And that is my worst fear. It is not a part of Black culture. In fact, it's one of the things that we as a community say is a white people thing. But even though we say that, that does not mean that there are some Black people within the Black community who do love camping and just generally all other things, all other outdoors activities. And that could include hiking, rock climbing, canoeing, rafting. You will find some Black people who do love that world. Now, it is definitely a minority within the Black community, but they do exist. And why is that? Why is there such a rift between Black people and camping, or even all the other outdoors activities? That is what we're going to be talking about today. And hello everyone, my name is Jasmine McCoy. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, thank you for clicking in to drop by. But if you're a returner, I'm very happy to have you back. This is another video in the series that I'm creating to celebrate Black History Month. And like the title says, we're going to be exploring the relationship between Black people and camping. Also, I think I should let you all know what my just general experience in the outdoors is. In, I believe, high school, I took a class called the Science and Geology of the Appalachian Trail. For class, we were hiking up and down the mountains, the Appalachian Mountains, and we were doing this 2 or 3 times a week. And it was a 4-week class. So it was a lot, but I lived. I remember there being one point where we were crawling on our hands and knees to get into a cave. It was a really cool cave, but at one point I looked up and I saw all these bugs with a bunch of legs, and I was disgusted. I hiked up Monte Grappa in Italy when I was there for my study abroad. I almost died on that mountain. Either I would have died falling off a cliff, or I would have died of heat stroke, but I did not die from either one of those things, and I made it up the mountain. So even though I almost died on that mountain, I still had a great experience. And beyond all of that, we're now going to get into the historical reasons of why Black people don't like camping and don't like the outdoors. So I have 3 points on this, and the 3 points are: it was a place of work, it was a means of survival, and it was a barrier to freedom. So it was a place of work. For 244 years, African Americans, enslaved Africans were brought here to the United States. They became African Americans after assimilating into American culture, but they were brought here to the United States to work, working outside in plantations where they were planting rice, sugarcane, tobacco, indigo, all of those things. And it was not a positive experience, obviously, working from sundown to sunup for another person without pay for 244 years. No one is going to have any kind of positive experience being associated with the outside and therefore with camping after that is a part of the cultural memory of your people. So that's our first point. Through. The other part being that it was a means of survival. After working in the fields all day long, you got to make sure that you have food enough for yourself, because you can't just eat sugarcane, or you can't just eat tobacco, or you can't just eat indigo. You have to make sure that you are feeding your own family. So enslaved people, they did have gardens within their own communities on the plantation. They also would have gone out into the woods to get different herbs and spices, or to hunt a little bit. It could also be, and this is where nature could in some ways be seen as a medicine cabinet, really, because if there was no way for getting a doctor to come and take care of you, there was always someone within the community that had some botanical knowledge and might be able to go out into the woods and bring something back that could heal someone. So that's a little portion of the ways in which nature could be seen as a positive light. but it was a place of survival. After working all day, they had to go either into the woods for foraging, for herbs and spices, or to kill a little bit of game. That way they could feed themselves some meat and protein. And then the final thing is that the wilderness is not considered a place that is safe for many African Americans. And that comes from it being a physical barrier to getting from the south to the north. Trying to get through all of that, navigating without a GPS, navigating without anyone to guide, well, sometimes they had guides. They had the night sky, or they would have had someone that they were following who knew the route. But it is not a place that is considered safe. And to go along with that, the wilderness was a place, a location for many lynchings that happened. Not to say that lynchings didn't happen in broad daylight in city centers, but it is a place where lynchings happened. It is a place where people were murdered or kidnapped. It is a place where people were raped. And there is a lot of generational trauma surrounding the outside and the wilderness for Black people from a historical context. And now that all of that is finished, we can talk about some of the modern barriers to why Black people do not get into camping and concurrently do not get into outdoor activities. So I already talked about the generational trauma that Black people have relative to being camping or just outdoors. And with all of that happening, with all of that being passed down or even just seen in the news, read, heard on the radio, all of those things that Black people are thinking about and therefore associating with camping in the outdoors. You don't have anyone then to introduce you to camping. We also don't really have any current Black explorer role models. White people have Bear Grylls or the Crocodile Hunter, people that go out into the wilderness and do amazing things, like they drink their own pee after it's been through the bladder of a camel, or they cocoon themselves in the body of a bear to keep warm at night. That is something that people have, that white people have, as, oh wow, cool, the outdoors is an amazing place. You can have such wild experiences there. But there's no one like that, to my knowledge, that has that kind of cultural relevance and has that kind of impact within the Black community. And then beyond that, it can be seen as an expensive thing to get into. Just like with anything else in the world, you can do it expensively, you can do it on a budget. Camping is one of the things that people think of as being really expensive, because either maybe you've got to fly to the location of a national park, or you have to pay to get into the national park. And even if you're not going to take a flight, you have to drive there. If you drive there, you're going to need gas money. And even when you get in there, you're going to be taking the car around, driving around the national park. You also need to think about food and water when you're going on this camping trip. And if you're camping, you're probably going to want to get a tent. Otherwise, you will have to rent a tent. Or if you're backpacking, you'll have to get a backpack, sleeping bag. It is just a list of items that you need or that people think they need in order to camp and to do it correctly or do it well. So those are the reasons as to why currently Black people don't do any camping. And now the final part of this video is, how do we change that? Because nature is amazing. It, simply put, has so many wonders for us to discover out there. And granted, yes, you can admire it from afar on YouTube. You can look at pictures of it on Google, but nothing will ever be able to encapsulate, be able to stimulate all 5 of your senses the same way as it is when you are actually there. Even though I almost died going up Monte Grappa, being at the top of that mountain, feeling the wind on my face, the sun on my skin, and just breathing in that beautiful scent of victory, that cannot be matched. So I want to give a couple of tips on how it is that we as a Black community just slowly introduce ourselves to the great outdoors, including camping. And in order to do that, you have to start small. One thing that you can do is you can take the car up the mountain, and typically there's a short summit walk. Maybe it's 10, 15 minutes. Start there. Or you can do a guided tour. You can make sure that the path is paved. That way you're not having to go off of any rough terrain. The next thing that you should do is you should plan ahead. And this is really just a safety thing. This is something you should already be doing, but make sure that you bring sunscreen, bug spray, food, and water, that you know the route. You're not just going out there blindly saying, oh, we're just gonna see where we end up. That's the start of a terrible horror movie. Go with some friends. That'll be a nice thing for you to just get that social interaction and to explore together. And now I'm going back to my previous comment about camping being expensive. While it can be expensive, it does not need to be expensive. So one of the ways that you can try and cut costs is to use materials that you already have. You probably have a backpack that you haven't used in 5 years, 10 years, I don't know, but you probably have a backpack laying somewhere around in your home. You have a water bottle. You have a lunchbox maybe that you use when you're heading to work, or even just a plastic bag will get you through it. You don't need a fancy thermos or Tupperware to go camping. If you don't want to buy a tent, if this is just something that you're trying, it's something that you are dipping your toes in to see if maybe you would like to camp, then you could rent a camping tent. Or sometimes there are different programs that offer a group camping tour. That way you're going with other people, you're getting social interaction with other people who may be trying or maybe are experienced. You're able to learn through that. And then it's just, I don't know, 15, 20 different groups of families camping out at the same time. But if you are someone who for sure knows camping is not for you, that you will never be into camping, then you could go glamping. And that basically just means camping, but make it glam. So that's one that definitely is for people who have more money. I don't have any suggestions for how you can make glamping low cost, because the entire point of glamping is that it's like luxury camping. And also just remember that camping is a good thing to boost your mental health, to boost your physical activity. If you need those little motivators in order to try camping or try outdoor activities, tell yourself it's for your body, it's for your mental health. And those are some things that could get you into camping. And that is everything I had to say about the relationship between Black people and camping. If you are one of those people who loves going outside, who loves camping, who loves hiking, try inviting some of your Black friends the next time that you have an event planned. I think that it would be a good way to just expand this, because in my opinion, it's a great thing being outside. I would like to do more of it, and I think it's something that would benefit the Black community because it's, like I said, it's good for your mental and emotional and physical health. It's also something that can bring new experiences and memories into the Black community, and it can play a part in deconstructing the generational trauma that we have against being outside. So, thank you very much for watching, and don't forget, if you have any suggestions of videos that I should make this month, please put them in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!